What's up? It's your boy Enigma back with another Mind of a Black Author review. Well, not really a review, but to talk about one of my books. I'm still here in California. As you can see, the waves are loud and we're closer to the airport, so bear with me. I'm working. Hopefully you'll be able to understand this. And the good thing about it is if you don't understand it, it's probably a good thing because I'm gonna go spoilerish on my book, Between Wives. So this is gonna be a chapter perspective. So if you've read my book, Between Wives, you know that it's mainly based off in New Orleans, but there are two chapters that are based off in California, and those are the two chapters that we're going to talk about today. So I really haven't done many videos talking about any spoilers with this book because it's one of those books that you have to really read to understand it, but I am going to talk spoilers in this. So if you have not read this book as of yet, stop the video, stop the podcast, read the book, and then come back. Now, if you read the book or you just don't give a damn and just want to hear some more about this book, then we're going to go ahead and talk about it. But just FYI, that's spoiler alert. So Between Wives, the way I always pitch it when I'm at different book events is it's a book that a lot of people think that because of the cover, it's some sort of affair book, but it's really not. So essentially what happens is the main character, Keelan, he's a New Orleans Police Department guy, officer, that's what I meant to say. And he's on a job and he raised a trap house. When he goes in the trap house, there's nothing there. When he comes out, it's 10 years later and his wife and kids do not exist and he's married to somebody else. And so that's kind of how I grab people in there. So I don't really talk about anything outside of that. So I'm going to go a little further today in this video. And I'm only going to keep it spoilers based on to go over these two chapters. I'm not doing anything else, so just FYI. So part of the story, when you start reading through it, he finds a way that he can kind of go back and forth between the two different universes. One is called the Dawnverse, and that's where his wife and kids exist. The other one is called the Tiara-verse, and that's where he's married to his fellow officer, Tiara. Well, she was an officer. She ended up being a teacher. And what happens is he needs her healthy to be able to go back and to his wife's universe. And so, again, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm not going to get into too many details on how or why. Just know that he needs her in health to be able to do that. Well, she ends up getting shot during a school shooting. Imagine being a police officer all those years and never experiencing anything. And then there's a school shooting where she's teaching at now, and she gets shot. So she's kind of on bed rest for a while. And so while Keelan's there, he's doing the job and whatnot. So he gets assigned to go to this police convention out in LA. And the name of the two chapters is California Dreaming Part 1 and California Dreaming Part 2. I'm going to break that down here in just a second. So he goes to this convention, basically just part of his job. He takes Rob with him and they work out some sort of deal where if Rob is with a girl, he'll put do not disturb on his hotel room so that Keelan knows and will leave him alone. So after kind of taking in the sights or whatever, Keelan returns to the hotel. He sees the do not disturb and decides to go to the bar in the hotel to give his friend some privacy with his girl. And he comes across his wife's variant. So keep in mind, he's been looking for his wife in this universe and she doesn't exist. But he runs into a woman who looks just like his wife. Only difference is she's a little more sexier. She has longer hair, kind of upgrade in clothing and all that, but it is his wife. And he almost chokes on his drink. And his wife is named Dawn, but the person that he meets is named Dewan. And so there's a little, okay, but you look just like my wife, whatever. They start to talk at the bar and they actually hit it off and everything goes good. And she actually gives him her card to call him. And he's thinking about it now. He has never cheated on his wife in either universe, okay? He's only slept with his wife in his wife's verse, and the one with Tiara, he's only been with Tiara, because that's his wife in that universe. So this is the first time he's really tempted, and there's a reason for that I'm not going to get into because it's going to give spoilers, so I'm not going to do that. So anyways, the next day he's at the convention again. Oh, let me back up. He returns to the hotel to find out that his friend Rob Rob actually got robbed, got rolled by some chick that he was hooking up with, which is kind of funny. And so, anyways, he returns the next day. He goes to the convention. They leave the convention early. Then he recognizes her voice coming out from another hall. He walks in and he finds out that the girl is a billionaire with a B. That's Dewan, the woman he met. And she's giving a speech talking at a banker convention herself. He disregards the card because, he's a little intimidated by all that. He didn't know about it. But he runs into her again as him and Rob are having dinner. And she talks to him, kind of convinces him again to kind of hook up with her. I mean, the problem is that this woman is just a splitting image of his wife, and they all have the same personality. So all of this is just kind of really, crazy for him. So all this is just, it's just, he's kind of conflicted because he's torn between the worlds of his wife and his, new wife, I guess you should say. And so he's tempted by her. He talks to his therapist who tells him, don't do it because you're going to regret it. And he decides, to hell with it, I'm going to go ahead and check it out. So he gets up to her hotel room, which is a penthouse. Again, she's rich. And she immediately comes on to him wearing even this same lingerie that his wife wears in his original universe. And it kind of confuses him, but he's about to go into it. At the last second, he pulls back, says he can't do it. And then he walks off, and that kind of ends the chapter. So here's the thing about this chapter. It's very important to the context of the story. And I'm very vague with it because I don't want to spoil a lot of things. But the great thing about this is he didn't see his wife before, and it's a shock to him to actually see her in this universe. He's been trying to get back to her. And keep in mind, it's his wife, but it's upgraded. You always talk about that one movie with Tyler Perry, what he called the 80-20 rule, that, your wife will give you the 80%, there's 20% that she won't give you. Well, she's upgraded to that other 20%. So basically everything that he loved about his wife, plus you adding in the money, and she has this UK dialect, which she considers attractive. It's just, she dresses more provocatively. Is everything his wife but upgraded. So you can see why it was so tempting for him. And the reason it was 2 chapters is because I wrote this chapter as 1 chapter, but it was just going on so long that I had to make a decision. And I'm looking at this bird behind me that almost swooped and hit me. And I had to make a decision to split the story in half. And there was a B-side story to this as well, where Rob and the girl who rolled him, that he kept running into her throughout the whole trip there. He was out eating dinner with Keelan, and he actually runs into her and actually chases her out the restaurant. It was a nice little story, but I had to cut it because I was trying to initially put it all in 1 chapter, but then when I decided to go ahead and put it as 2 chapters, I thought about putting it back in, but it didn't really flow too well. So I just left that part out. But there is a part in there that was a B storyline that I was going to use and didn't use. But it's a very important chapter once you see the whole story. And I know it sounds crazy the way I explained it, but trust me, you don't want to be spoiled on this one. You actually want to read this. But that was probably my 2 favorite chapters to write, because up until this point, everything seems to be like he's working it out. He's trying to figure out how to stay in his own universe. And then these chapters are like towards the end, and then there's just one last temptation or one last thing to trip him up that, just kind of a twist into the story. So, to find somebody like that, and like I said, it's purposeful, the reason why she is the way she is, the reason why she's the 80 plus the 20% that she was missing. So you'll kind of see that once you see the end of the book. But it was just such a fun chapter, and I thought I'd talk about it. Again, I'm not going to get into too many other spoilers because you'll spoil the journey. But that's all I wanted to really talk about in today's chapter perspective, just kind of give you a behind the scenes on what I was thinking. And really, it was just to spice up the story with one last twist, talk about Rob and what he's going through, and also give him, because at the end of it, he returns back to New Orleans and has one supposedly final interaction with his wife, Tiara. So, and that leads to something else. But you'll kind of see it where it gets there. But yeah, the California Dreaming is one of the last few chapters of the book. Very fun. The book is called Between Wives. I know you've seen it because I spam the hell out of everybody. Everybody should know this book. If you want to check it out, hit me up at www.enigmakid.com. That's www.enigmakid.com well, I said the same thing, KIDD.com, sorry, for the people who are listening. But check this book out. I also have other books for sale. I have a book that dropped today. By the time you see this, it'll probably be a couple weeks after my Dan Ark book drop. So just keep that on your ears as well. But that's pretty much it. I'm just trying to sit here and enjoy my last few moments out here in California, trying to enjoy, this beach here is not bad. It's just right next to the airport. So as you can hear, there's a lot of planes going in the background. So not the best beach I've been on since I've been down here, but it is still kind of cool to have any type of beach. But anyway, it's your boy Enigma signing off. Let me go enjoy my vacation, y'all. Deuces.